Hello everybody, welcome back to another podcast. So last weekend we have 3 new movies in theaters, and they are Godzilla, King of Monsters, Rocketman, and Ma. Let's see how those movies did at the box office. Okay, let's jump right in. Coming in number 1 is Godzilla, King of Monsters. Yeah, this is a sequel to the 2014 Godzilla movie, which is a Western-made Godzilla movie. The previous movies were from Japan. This one's American-made. All right. I mean, there was one way back when they featured kind of like the lookalike of Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel in it, and it stars Matthew Broderick. There was one. There was that one, and so this is like kind of like the third American-made Godzilla movie, and this is a movie I say could probably open in the 95 to 100 million range, because the previous movie, the 2004 movie, opened to 93 million, went on to make 200 million domestically and 529 million worldwide. And I said, hey, you know, this sequel, King of Monsters, might get a bump because unlike the previous movie, it has 2 monsters, right? This one, King of Monsters, is kind of like the Avengers of the monster movies. They have Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah. So all those monsters coming together to battle it out for supremacy. That's why the King of Monsters. So there you go. I thought, hey, with all these different monsters and known and famous monsters, creatures coming together to battle it out, I thought this movie might do better than the previous one. And no, apparently not. So the movie opened to 49 million estimated in its opening weekend, way below my 95 to 100 billion mark. I thought this would get a sequel bump, and due to the cast of monsters, apparently not. So yeah, and reviews wise, it wasn't that good. 39% on the tomato meter, and a B+ cinema score. So audience and critics, professional critics, thought it was kind of an okay movie, but not a movie that would pull in the huge number. Although some movies like this one, Godzilla, King of Monsters, sometimes are critic proof, right? Because it features some special effects or a concept that kind of grab hold of the audience, then it could do well at the box office, like some of the Transformer movies. But Godzilla, no, not this one. The first movie did well. The second movie, kind of underperformed. I mean, I believe the studio estimates were, I think they were having in the 50 million range opening, right? And this one performed way lower than I thought this movie could do, 95 to 100 million. My guess, my conjecture, based on the performance of the first movie. But it was below that as well. Godzilla cost 170 million to make. So overseas it did a bit better, right? 130 million from overseas, for a worldwide total of 179 million. So an okay opening. Maybe in the second weekend it might do better because like school's out. Right, but then we have new movies coming in, so it might grab a chunk of the box office from Godzilla, right? So it looks like this movie is gonna perform better overseas than here, obviously, but domestically it seems like it's gonna do way worse than the first movie. All right, coming in number 2 is Aladdin. In its second weekend, it dropped about 54% from its opening weekend to pull in 42 million. So domestic gross is about 185 million. And worldwide it is at 449 million, with 264 million of that from overseas. So it is another successful transition live action adaptation from Disney. Remember, Disney is doing transforming their animation to live action, and along with like the Jungle Book, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, this is Aladdin is another successful transition for them, and it looks like it's still there's no reviews for this movie yet. I believe it's still under embargo, but X-Men Apocalypse, right, has a 47% on the tomato meter, so it's not that well reviewed, even though it still did okay, right, especially overseas. So how will Dark Phoenix do? I mean, if we're gonna go by how people regard the previous movie, how that translates to the next movie, I say not well, right? The first movie opened to about 66 million. I mean, not the first movie, but X-Men Apocalypse opened to 66 million. For Dark Phoenix, right? Because of the, like I said, there's competition in the theaters as well, right? There's Secret Life of Pets 2, there's Godzilla, Avengers Endgame is still in theaters, even though that's tapering off quite a bit, right? It's falling off, so it's a good time for another superhero movie, but is that movie Dark Phoenix, or the audience is gonna split to other movies like The Secret Life of Pets? Maybe they're checking out Godzilla, or Aladdin is still going strong. So as like I say, schools out as well. But if I'm going with the halo effect, if you will, from the previous movie and how it affects this one, I think the Dark Phoenix is probably going to have an opening of about 55 to 60 million in its opening weekend, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if it opened a bit better. But because of more people available to watch movies, because school's out. But if going by normally, I think 55 to 60 million is a good bet for an opening for Dark Phoenix. All right, that's it for this week's podcast. Tune in next week to see how I did. Until then, take care. Bye bye.